What's going on, guys? Another day in the garage. I'm just currently putting the wiring harness in and the intake manifold. I'm going to work my way from there. I did get underneath and have a look at the trans. The shifter linkage is hitting the tunnel a little bit, so I'm going to have to hit that with a hammer a little bit maybe. The drive shaft's a little bit too long, so I'm going to have to get that lengthened. And I'm just kind of working my way around the car, trying to button up things and getting it ready. I am, of course, running into some issues with the new trans install. I can't get the shifter to mount underneath the tunnel without hitting the drive shaft, or on top of it without having to rip out all my plastics. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do there. I'm not a very good fabricator. So I'm just going to start with stuff I know I can get done and kind of get it out of the way and get a bit more motivation for the build, because I've been kind of lacking lately. I've just been overwhelmed with how much shit I actually have to do. So I'm gonna button up the intake manifold side of things, and then we'll go from there. So I'm just rerunning the harness everywhere. It is the old factory brittle harness, so I don't know how I feel about it. I am gonna get a new harness eventually. It's just, I'll have to stick with this one for now, unfortunately. Did I just break off that bolt? I barely even tightened it. That was bullshit.
Simple as brr, brr.
I didn't even tighten it at all. I just snugged it up. Retarded. Sorry about that, a little bit of update on things. The power steering pump, it actually needs a bracket built from here to down here, because I deleted the AC. You can buy a bracket, it bolts up here, here, and there. But I didn't realize that I needed one. So I'll probably end up making one for now, and then I'll buy a proper bracket. And then in the front, I mounted up the trans cooler, halfly, just to see if it would fit. So what I used was a piece of just flat stock. I went up and then mounted the trans cooler there. Now I did order a second trans cooler, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to run it through this one first, and then I'm going to run it into the passenger side here, where the factory front mount intercooler was, and I got a smaller one to mount here, and it has a fan built into it, so I'm hoping that that will work a bit better as well. So to run through that first one, then the second one with the fan, and if it's too hot, the fan will cool it down, and then it'll go through the trans. Okay, so what I've been doing now is I'm getting the shifter ready to be mounted. And I'm so sorry, guys, but I had to cut up the factory tunnel a little bit to get the shifter to come through. So I'd cut it in the back, run as well. And then you'll see if we get underneath the car. Key filler. Now the shifter sits higher up above where the drive shaft goes, and there's about 3/4 of an inch to an inch clearance of this above the drive shaft now. So the cable will come out here, right there, and loop around and go to the side of the trans all the way up there. That's hitting the tunnel that I have to fix. It's hitting the tunnel. Yeah, I gotta fix that too. Goddamn problems.
Yeah, cock's too big.
All right, this is essentially my first bracket. What it does is actually bridges across the trans tunnel in the back, and then it bolts to the side of the trans tunnel into the cabin. I hate drilling into it, but I don't really have much option with this style shifter if I want to keep it concealed and still like use the factory plastics and stuff. And now I just have to figure out a mount for the front half of it up to the front, but that should work. So I built the back bracket just like the front one, and they just all bolt up in the trans tunnel. That's the best way I could think of to bolt it up. I got the shifter cable on there. I will paint these upon final assembly. This whole mechanism is actually going to be underneath the tunnel, so it's going to be out in the weather. However, I don't plan on driving the car in the rain or dailying it much at all anyways. It's mainly going to be on a track, so this should be fine. I'm going to have to find something to cover up the tunnel a bit. Other than that, should be fun. So this is what I ended up with. I had to cut the tunnel a little bit, and then I'll put the plastics on and I'll see where we're at. Okay, it doesn't look bad. It's in there. Let's see if I can get it wider. the plastics all fit back over it, and then I think that's parked.
Yes, I came over with the bright idea.
There we go. Cool.
Yeah. Fucking kids.
Update time. Holy fuck. I got a nice big trans cooler sitting in here on
I can't even fucking fit in that seat, dude.
Got a big trans cooler there. I'm gonna run another one. So this is like the size of my hand. But I think I'm gonna run a second one over here in the fender with a fan on it. And then Robert just tried to fit in, but the seat's too small. Got a full interior Supra again. Carpet's back in, harness is on. Shifter and panels. We're doing all right. Okay, essentially what we have is a factory harness that goes in the factory hanger and then into the body harness. So in this, all I'm gonna use is the factory fuel level sender wires. There's 3 of them. And essentially they match up to the 3 that are here on the aftermarket one that Powerhouse Racing gives you. I'll have to extend this ground to go inside the chassis, and then I'll have to extend these 3 power wires to go to my relay board. So I have some big 10 gauge wire that'll go to the relay board. So I'll solder up 3 wires from the 3 powers. I have some black wire too as well, and I'll solder up a longer one for the ground, and then these ones will go into the main harness, and then that'll get plugged back into the factory body harness. Okay, now that we have our bare regular harness, I can try and unpin these ones. I don't actually have the tools to unpin things. Ha! Boom! Those 2 wires are out. Put my thing back in. So I cut these ones right at the plug. So they go right here somewhere. So I can cut them both right about there. I definitely don't claim to be the best at wiring, because I'm definitely not, but I can do enough to get things running. Now, since these are different size wires, you can essentially, you just take them bare instead of like twisting them up and twisting them together. You kind of intertwine them by pushing them into each other and spreading the wires. And then hold one side and twist the other. Hold one side and twist the other. Then you end up with something like that. Which I can then, oh yeah, for anything automotive, always use 60-40 wire. It just solders way better. It doesn't take a lot of heat, and then you don't ruin everything. Ugh. I didn't put my heat shrink on. I cut it and then I didn't put it on. Fail bad.
What the fuck?
On second thought, I probably shouldn't use 10 gauge wire. It's fucking huge. Especially this stuff, which seems pretty cheap, but compared to the mil spec stuff, you can see the size difference. And I don't think I want to run this anymore compared to that. So I'll probably get some 12 gauge or something, and we'll go from there. What a waste of wire, I cut it all already. I just realized I didn't have the sound on for that whole little last collaboration. So what I was saying, when you buy a heat shrink, you'll notice there's a number, a shrink ratio. This one's 4:1. You can get stuff that's like single wall 2:1. So if you buy 1/2" heat shrink, then it's only gonna shrink down to 1/4 inch because it shrinks only one time as small it is. Well, what was that? That wasn't even English. As small it is, but it only shrink one time. So this stuff will shrink 4 times. So if you get something that's 1/2 inch, it'll shrink down to 1/4 inch. So you have a lot wider range when you use your heat shrink on how big of wires that you can put it on. So I always recommend get 4:1. It's just easier and you don't need as much different variety of sizes. I'll show you what we have for the harness. So essentially it plugs in here and it'll run down and then up through that plug over there. And then this is our factory like fuel level sender stuff, and it just clips up over there. And then our main wires are gonna come down here to the relay board where they're gonna get plugged in over here. Okay, well I haven't decided what I want to do with the common ground, but you can see, maybe. Power wires are in, the bottom 3 just run through this loom, go down through the hole, up through the hole, and right into here. And then this it's a little mil-spec screw-on connector. It just screws together. I do have to get another cover for this because this one isn't deep enough anymore. So they do make like an aftermarket aluminum hat one that goes over. I'm gonna have to use. That's it for this video. I know I've been all over the place. These video clips have been spread out over like a week time. I really want to button everything back up, except like sometimes I'll be missing a fitting here or a wire here or a connector here, and then I have to jump all over the place and order different pieces, and it just a lot goes into it once you start modifying a lot of things at the same time. So I'm really sorry that everything's been all over the place and I haven't been filming as much as I should have been because I'm just like all over the place and really hard to set up the camera, take different shots, and I'm on a time crunch because I do have to work a lot still. That's this episode. I do what I can. I'm hoping to have it running by July. Just a lot of stuff is supposed to show up on Monday, and stay tuned for that. Well, yeah, Ken's axle showed up too. That's the one for the Macula. So we can make the Macula roller again, and that episode will be shot when we actually go make it a roller again, which should be these days off. So sometime this week, you should see another Macula video. Stay tuned. Peace.